No worries, no worries.
Thanks for being flexible with me.
Of course, of course.
Wednesday is my crazy day. We have a bunch of streams, and we usually just schedule interviews every 30 minutes from like 1 to like 7, just while everything's set up. I do them all in one day. So sometimes it just gets really crazy. We're finishing the record today, so we're running late doing that. But I think
Yeah, I was looking at your website and I saw you guys were rocking it on the streaming world. So you've adapted.
we had to. We lost so much this year. We lost a 14 country, 5-month long tour. So it was difficult, and we had to figure out, couldn't just stop. So it was tricky in the beginning, trying to figure out what to do and just how to move forward. And then it kind of just fell into place where it was like every Wednesday, I guess I'm doing concerts from home.
Very
So,
cool, very cool.
yeah.
Now, you just said you were doing 14, you said 14 country or city? What did you say?
Country, almost 100 cities, 14 countries.
Wow.
So it was a big loss.
Well, don't think of it as a loss. Think of it as a delay.
Yes.
Right? Because you can. I mean, I don't know how it all works and stuff, but I presume that you can do them later. Hopefully.
I know. We're waiting to see on this year, which it's not looking promising, to be honest with you. But you just got to do what you can, and so much good came out of staying home, like the streaming. And I mean, to be named a top 40 live streamer of the year, like on the internet, was so crazy to me that I can sit in my living room and like accomplish that. So for me, like a lot of blessings came too,
Yeah, and it also gives you an extra way to reach your audience going forward, and you'll still have this method.
Yeah, it's true.
To do, if you want to do more. So I think it's created problems, but it's also created opportunity. I'm sure Zoom got rich.
So much of my life, I forgot how to use it because I hadn't used it in so long, and then every interview was being done on Zoom, so I had to like re-download it and figure out how to use it again. But you're right, a lot of really cool stuff has come out of this time. So try to focus positive.
Yeah, I mean, what else can we do? I haven't even introduced you yet. Okay. We just like, hey, I haven't seen you for a while. How are you? We just start talking, So I always, it always ends up that somewhere later is where I introduce folks. The city of New York, Boricua from the Bronx. Do you know how I came across you? How I came across you?
Wasn't it a radio show years ago?
Alicia Stern was doing playing songs, and I heard your song, This Much Fun, right? And I was like, what the hell is that? It's country-ish, but it's not country-ish. And I just completely fell in love with it. Still on my iPod. That's how I first came across your music. Yeah, through that show. Cool.
I remember that.
So I am speaking with Jessica Lynn. Tell us about yourself.
Country crossover singer-songwriter. Even though I'm labeled as country, my music has so much blues and rock and soul and pop in it, and I attribute that to being a New Yorker, an Italian New Yorker. I'm not the traditional country music artist, and I don't make the traditional country music. My career started back in 2014 when a television special that we self-produced went nationwide on public television on PBS. And ever since then, we've been touring around the world. I've gotten to play with some incredible people like Jessica Lynn, Richard Marx, ZZ Top, Brad Paisley. And it's really been a whirlwind. Since then, I've done 3 full-length television specials for PBS that have also been picked up by Amazon Prime Video. And it's really just been an incredible, exciting journey.
How did you get into country music coming from New York? I'm from New York, and there was a time in my life where I said, I like everything but country. Now, that has since changed. I mean, liking country music is one thing, but to say I'm from New York and I'm going to I'm gonna go and be a country music artist.
I'm a big believer that life kind of guides you where you're supposed to go without conscious decisions a lot of the time. And I was always playing rock and roll music. I grew up since I was 13 years old playing in a rock and roll band. We were playing all over Manhattan when I was a little kid.
Oh,
Right. We were very No Doubt like. But I
huh.
always loved country music because my dad loved it. So we always had it on in the house. Like I remember going for long car rides and having George Strait on or Glenn Campbell or Phil Vassar. And I just really connected with it, especially as a songwriter, the way country music told a story. And country music kind of picked me when
Oh.
I was about 19 and I was in college. I met who's now my husband.
Hmm.
And out of nowhere, something about meeting him and the way I felt made me write an album's worth of country music, which wound up
Wow.
becoming the first television special. And that's honestly how, I mean, my heart just
It
started
was
coming out country. And
organic.
just, yeah, it just felt right. There was never a decision like, oh, I'm going to do this, or because trust me, being from New York, I probably never would have picked to do. We didn't even have a country radio station, it would have been like the oddest choice ever. But I just always loved it and I always admired it. And when I started doing it naturally, that's when I just knew this is what I meant to do.
You've done it with some pretty well-known folks. You're probably of all my artist friends, the one who has done the most touring for sure. You guys were in Europe. I remember, I mean, I was following and I wasn't there. How was that?
Amazing. We've spent every summer in Europe, or at least half a summer since 2016. So it was very weird this past year not going.
Right,
But
right.
they just appreciate live music so much there. It's really amazing to see.
How do you get known to the folks over there? And how do they, like how does that happen coming from New York again? And not even New York, just the US. How do they become exposed and how do you gain that traction overseas
The
in
internet.
Europe?
In 2016, I got a cold email that we thought was spam, actually, that
Wow.
asked me to come headline a festival in France. And we thought
Wow.
it again was like a
Yeah.
spammy
Send us
kind
your
of,
social.
exactly. And then we researched for like, wait a second, this is a legitimate production company. Fast forward, we go to France just on like a whim, for one festival and a bunch of TV and radio the week leading up to it. And out of that, headline 13,000 people or so. And then out of that, there were all buyers there that had seen me. And then that one show turned into 2 months overseas the next summer just from offers that came in.
Wow. That's that's amazing. That is amazing.
And
Isn't
just kind of
it
meant to be, I guess.
isn't it crazy that imagine if you would have just ignored it thinking it was spam?
I
You
know,
know?
it might change my whole life. It did. It
Wow.
changed my life. We're set to go for three whole months um, this year. So it's amazing looking back, like how excited I was getting off the plane. I remember it so well. I was actually really sick. I had a terrible sinus infection and a really high fever that developed on the plane. Like I didn't get on the plane sick.
Oh,
I woke up the next morning when we landed. I remember just feeling really not right. I was burning up and I had to do all TV and radio like that and just
oh
pretend I
my
was
God.
fine. And oh man, I've been used to singing sick for so many. You just gotta go. You can't
Well, at
cancel.
that point, yeah. You know what, guys? I know I flew all the way to
I
Europe. Yeah, no, no. You could get shot and
I,
still.
I
What's
remember,
what's what's that?
I remember like, when your fever's so high, you're like disoriented. Like that's how I felt.
Delirious.
But thank God
Uh,
I was okay. Like my voice was a little bit stronger after the 6 days for the festival on the weekend. Thank God.
wow, that's wild. It's isn't it crazy also how that happens when like it's the most inopportune time.
I know.
These things happen, but I mean, it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger, right? And
So
you
true. It really did, and it prepped me. I mean, ever since then, we've toured so much. We were touring before that too. My first big one was 2014. But I mean, I've toured under every circumstance: sick, throwing up, fever,
oh,
sinus infection, terrible cold. I did the last year's run in the UK. We had 12 shows in 13 days, and I did 6 in a row, like super sick. I mean, high fever, barely any voice. I have no idea how I made it through, but I just did. I guess over the years, you just learn.
yeah, yeah. I don't want to say autopilot, but you shift into that. It's got to get done. You
Yeah,
just it's
that's
got to
it.
get done.
It's not like I
Yeah.
can call out and be like, someone else come sing for Jessica.
It's not an option.
I know.
You know, that's not where you want to be replaced.
Yeah.
I don't think Steve can pull it off. Yeah, well, I'm not gonna say I wouldn't like to see that, but
Yeah, I only had to cancel one of those shows, the very last one. I did 5 in a row, like extremely sick. And then the last one
wow,
I just couldn't. I literally had no voice, like at all.
okay. Well,
But that's the only show I've ever canceled due to illness, actually. Every other one. And really I tried, but I couldn't, when just air comes out, like you just have
it's
no
much
voice
fun.
at all. Yeah,
It's much fun.
exactly. I just couldn't do it.
I mean, one would argue that you probably should have rested the whole time, but again, this isn't one of those things that you can put off.
No, and
Uh,
there were so
It's
many.
just,
We were all overseas, and I'm just gonna have the band sit in a hotel room and while the ticket I mean, it was too big of an undertaking to do that with
yeah. Yeah. How many people are in your band currently?
7.
Seven folks. I can't imagine how planning for the flight and everything must be for in terms of equipment.
It takes us about 6 months putting a tour like that together.
Wow. So that must have been really disappointing when things kind of went to crap with COVID. Because if
Yeah.
it fell apart, then that means you had already put the work in.
Yeah, we did. That tour what took us almost a year.
Wow.
We started our first date was supposed to be end of May, and we got our first date for that tour the May prior.
Wow. Yeah, that's a bummer. But
Yeah.
again, try to focus on the positive. You're doing your streaming, you're top streamer. Dude, I've been trying to do internet stuff for like years and years, and I've not topped anything, right?
Okay. Hard
Definitely doing something right.
work. Social media is a full-time job, and you have to love it too. It's not like the amount of time that it takes to grow a fan base on the internet. You have to really truly enjoy it because it's a lot of time. I mean, sometimes in bed at night, I'll lay there for 3 hours and answer comments.
Oh,
So you have to really love what you're doing to put that amount of effort in.
yeah, yeah. Well, you're gonna get what you put in. This is your full-time thing, right? You're a full-time musician, right? Like this is it, you know. Yeah.
It's more
Wow.
than a full-time job. Usually my day today is, I would say, 12-hour workday, and that's like usually pretty the norm.
I think I heard a quote once that someone said behind every overnight success, there's 12 years of hard work.
It's true. It is
Like,
so true. There even been rumors about me. Um, People don't know how hard it is. I mean, if it was easy, everybody would do it. But yeah, there have been rumors that I have ghostwriters writing all my stuff, that I have a millionaire family that's paid my way into all the festivals and everything. I wish.
those would have to be like true haters for that,
I know, but you know
you
what? If
know.
you have haters, you're doing something right because nobody hates on anybody that's not doing anything. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard work. I turned 31 this year, and I've been lugging equipment, and grinding since 13 years old.
I always give folks credit because I know that there's work being done. I do recall you mentioning being ill during on one of your tours. I do recall that, but I didn't know that you were still pushing through and you were still grinding and getting out there and still performing while sick. What you put in is what you get out.
It's true with consistency. I've taught a bunch of like little social media, like masterclass type of things and things like that. And one of my biggest tips is consistency. If you look at my pages, I have a formula. I know what times I should post. I post the same times every day that I know work for me. You cannot miss a day. If I'm like
Right.
so busy, sometimes I'll schedule my posts a week out just to make sure that I am consistent and they still get up. Because once you miss, you just start to slip and slip. And it's like working out, you know, unless you do it every day and you really put a lot of effort in, you're not going to see results.
Yeah, yep. I can attest to that one. COVID has not been good to me there for sure.
Me too. I put on a few pounds too. But you know what? Like for me, life, you also have to enjoy yourself and sometimes take like a little break just to not be so stressed about everything. Like for me, being on the road, there's so much pressure. You know, you're always being photographed and videoed, and you got to be on stage and you got to make sure you fit into your outfits and all this and that. And that I don't have that pressure right now. I'm like, let me just enjoy it. If I want to eat pizza, like I'm gonna eat pizza, you know, like I'm not gonna be able to ever do this again. So sometimes you gotta just enjoy it.
Yeah, I one would argue I've enjoyed it maybe a tad too much.
Hey, there's
Yeah.
I feel you. You're not alone in that. Trust me. My clothes still fit. That's good.
Yeah, mine barely. I put on my work pants and that button is like about to pop.
I mean, even me, like I'll look at myself sometimes and be like, oh my God, I look so big in that picture. And people are like, what are you talking about? You know, like I think it's just human nature to be hard on yourself.
Yeah, the voices in our head, right? Were the most abusive.
It's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
true.
I had a six pack at one point, and then I was focusing on the little bit of fat in my lower, like in the separation between my back and my butt.
You get so focused on something that sometimes you lose sight of the reality.
I look back at those pictures now, and I'm like, what I'd give,
I
I'd
know,
appreciate it so much right
I
now.
know. I
I,
wish I was fat like I was back
yeah,
then.
I would so appreciate the hell out of that fat man in that picture. So you're in the studio today? What am I looking at? What's behind you? This is
Yeah, well,
home or
this is my living room.
okay?
And we have a home studio. So that's where we've been
Oh,
recording the record. And we're just about wrapping it up, like literally the tiniest little tweaks. We're at the point now where it's done, but we're living with it. So every day we listen through just for any, because your ears change. You know, when you're so close to something, like I was saying, sometimes maybe I was focusing so much on the mix of the drums on this track that I didn't really hear that maybe the background vocals needed to come down a little bit. So we're listening for about a week straight, just through every day to make sure we're totally happy. And then it's going to go off to get mastered and manufactured. And then we're done. It's like almost a year in the making at this point. So very exciting.
and this is you guys, the band. When you say we, is it the band or do
Yeah,
you you
I
guys
use
just
Dan for everything. They've been with me for a very long time. And I think that they're a big part of what makes my sound and my music so special. So for me, I don't use studio musicians. I like to use my band.
of course, of course. And you also involve everybody's involved with when you say we're listening to it, going through it, it's you guys as well. Your band kind of listening and just making sure everything's and you're kind of collaborating like, hey, this is too loud or this is too low or
They're
is
not
that
really involved in the mixing part, but definitely in the whole process. Like I keep
oh
them involved in like sending them tracks that are done and things like that. And hey, what do you think about this order? Even though I'm a solo artist, I mean, they've been with me since 2012. So they are a very big part of what I do, and I value their opinion and their expertise and their talent. And I like to involve them as much as I can.
yeah. Plus, you have family in your band, right? Which
Exactly.
is you have several family members actually. And I forgot you married one of them too. So yeah, I was thinking of your parents, but I'm like, wait a minute, there's another one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's very cool.
I'm saying
Yeah,
it's a very rare thing that we have for bands to be together for that long. I mean, it's a rare bands stay together for a year. And here we
Mhm.
are since 2012. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you guys you're thriving despite the current climate. So, that's
I'm the type of person that fights back. I'm not one to lay down and just like get beat up. I'm
yeah.
very motivated and very dedicated to what I do, and I love what I do. And for me, the thought of just stopping everything was like more hurtful than what I was already feeling. So I just
Mhm.
figured, let's give this a go. We upgraded our cameras, our lights, everything. As soon as we knew, like, we're not going on the road, we need to do something to stay afloat, we moved immediately and started streaming. At one point, I was doing almost 6 live streams a week, and
Wow.
it was the right move. So it's nice to see it pay off.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's definitely adapting. In fitness, people have done that, and I tried it. I tried to teach Zumba online, and I couldn't. I just
Why?
couldn't. I couldn't get on board. I need the people there. I need the feedback. I need so I did like, and maybe that's where I faltered, right? Because I did like one or two classes and I had like one person show up. Then the next class, no person showed up. Then the next class, two people showed up. So I gave up on the consistency of it, right? I first of all, I wasn't enjoying it. So for me, I was trying to teach, but I just wasn't having fun
Yeah.
because I the reason I do it is it's like a form of therapy for me, you know.
Yeah.
And it helps me overcome. I'm very shy and timid. It helps me with all these things. So, but I need the people. So I need the feedback. When I go, ooh, ooh, I want to hear you ooh, ooh, back. And I wasn't getting that. So it was me in the room, ooh, ooh, hey, doing what I'm doing. And
Believe me, that goes away. Like, and for me, imagine after every song, dead silence,
right,
it'd be
right,
very weird. But then you get used to it and you learn to appreciate it in a different way. Like for me, even though you don't get that instant gratification,
mm,
reading the comments after, seeing stuff come in as you're going, and you're also getting to spend time with your fans and your people in a way that you never would have. When I'm on a big stage, or I don't get to talk to you
right,
like this, like, oh, hey, John, nice to see you. You don't get to do that. So you learn to appreciate it for what it is. It's a different thing. If you go in with the mentality that it's going to be the same experience, you're going to be sorely disappointed. You have
right.
to find,
That's exactly what happened. Yeah,
yeah, and you
yeah,
can't let it discourage you. Believe me, I was so nervous in the beginning. It felt so weird to me not saying thank you after the songs, or that you learn to navigate it and you learn to adjust because it's a different thing. You cannot expect it to be the same.
yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
I really would give it another go, because I'm telling you, like, you don't realize the impact you can have too if you can get over that initial hump of learning that it's something different. Like for me, I can't tell you the amount of messages I get of people saying, like, you really helped me through this lockdown. Getting to hang out with you, see your show every week, it made me feel like I wasn't alone, like you're sitting there in my living room with me. And
Yeah.
that's like the most special thing. Like that's more gratifying than any applause or big stage. And you could have that same type of impact on people. And believe me, when I first started, I wasn't having 500 people in the stream at a time. It's you grow it. Everybody and everything has got to start somewhere, and you don't get anywhere unless you stick with it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's well, maybe I'll revisit it because I do kind of regret that not having stuck with it.
Oh my gosh, I gotta go. I'm supposed to be on Instagram right now. I probably have a ton of messages. Okay,
Well,
I
you
gotta
better
run.
get on there. It's been wonderful talking to you. Thank
Same
you for
here.
taking the time. And I
Thanks
look
for having
forward for you guys to getting on the road again and getting out there and doing your thing.
me. Thank you so much.
All
All right,
right.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right, you take care. Bye.
Bye.
You are listening to the NYC Talking podcast. www.nyctalking.com. Please like NYC Talking on Facebook. Please follow Angel R Talk on Twitter and Instagram. We are NYC Talking, the realest lifestyle blog ever. Thanks for listening.